welcome back to another video. Today I have the unboxing of the latest Echo Park Club member kit. So let's dig in and get out all the goodies. Okay, and I'm a little late opening in this, but their Valentine collection is out. It looks very pretty too. Be My Valentine. That's their Valentine collection. Introducing our little lumberjack collection. That looks kind of cute too. Love those. Okay. Anyway, okay, so this one is called Home Again. Here's our inspiration sheet. Got some cards and different projects and things on here. Very pretty. I like the magnolia look. So, and here's some step-by-step instructions on a couple of the things. Okay, so let's start with this 6x6 paper pad. Let me zoom down in on this. And they are double-sided. Grab some scissors to cut open this. Okay. I need to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Alright. So lots of plaids and ginghams so far, some solids. This is Home Sweet Home, Gather, some really nice little sayings there. This is a polka dot, if you can see that. Polka dot, magnolia blooms. This is a very dark wood grain look. Mom's Baking Company, Fresh Baked Daily. That's cute. A lot of really cute papers. Definitely a home type feel collection, but it's also very organic in nature. Like, maybe not organic's not the right word, but you know, just the floral and outdoorsy kind of stuff. I don't think that's the exact word I'm looking for either, but and there we go, we start repeating again. Okay, so that's the 6x6, the 12x12. Back out a little bit. So in with the 12x12 paper, you get this 12x12 sticker sheet. Love this little banner. You could put the word like home or something like that on there. Look at the cake stand. That's really cute. I really like that. So just like some like vintage looking things. I think those canisters kind of look vintage. And the scales. Another cake stand. Cake stands are very popular. Okay, so in the big paper, we've got another wood grain, and then the trucks. I mean, they should be somewhat the same as the small ones, just larger scale. You can use these on the background of a project, or, you know, of course, scrapbooking, but a lot of different uses you can do these for. You do photography of small things, so some of these would be a great background for some photography. Yes, so there's the 12x12, and then you get the chipboard accents. These are the really thick chipboard pieces, and they are sticky on the back. And so then we get some enamel dots. So all the colors match very well. You get the frames and tags. There are 33 pieces in here, so let's just dump this out real quick and look at this. So just a lot of little tags. You can pop that out. That's to be a frame. There's no place like home. So I think there's a lot of decor things that you can do with this kit. So I'm going to give it some thought and come up with some decor ideas. But just a lot of fun little pieces here. Bless this house. There's that cake stand. Bless this mess. Very cool. Happiness served here. What does this one say? This is us, our life, our story, our home. That'd be really cool, big on something. I like that saying. Love simply. Okay, so there's our frames and tags. They have some washi tape, and it's just the magnolias. This is very pretty. Okay, let's look at the stamp set. Okay, let me lay it down. Here it's probably the easiest way to see it. And let me zoom in. Okay, you have our happy place up here. You are my home, home sweet home. Gather together. There's no place like home. Home again. Welcome home. And you got that cute little park bench and just a bunch of flowers and florals and things. And I like that little bow, a little butterfly, and the heart. That's really cute. Okay, so let's see about making a card with this. Okay, we're going to start by cutting the smallest banner from the Pink Fresh Studios Essentials Ornate Banner die set. It is a 5-piece die set, and it gives you a cut line and a stitch line, and if you want a little embellishments too, but I didn't do the little embellishments on there. And so then I stamped the bench, and I stamped the vase of flowers, and then masked it off with some Gina K masking paper, and then stamped the bench and the sentiment. And now I'm just using some Copic colors to warm grays to go in and put the lines back in that my mask covered up. I didn't want, since it's going through glass, I didn't want them to be as predominant. So I went in with just a lighter shade of warm gray and put those lines back in. And then to give the bench a little bit of dimension, I went in with a dark gray and did the seat and the back legs and things like that. Okay, so to color the little greenery, I just used some Jelly Roll pens, and these are the Stardust Jelly Roll pens, so that it has a little bit of a sparkle to it. And it's a pretty quick and easy process to give that some color. And once that was dry, then I went in with a white Jelly Roll pen and did little highlights on just the tops of some of the leaves, just to give it a little bit more dimension. Oh, here's where I'm going back in with a darker warm gray to give that little park bench some dimension. And then I'm going to put my shadow in, and that'll do it for that little piece. And so my card base is Neenah 110 pound Solar White, and it is an A2 size card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 side folding. Had this green paper in my scrap bin, so I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I just thought it went well with these pattern papers from Echo Park. Most of my paper that I do use for solid paper for die cutting is Simon Says Stamp. If just using some layering paper, sometimes I just get that from the craft store. That stuff doesn't die cut well, so I don't use it for die cutting, but layering it works fine. Okay, so pop that up with some foam tape, and then I will just add some of these enamel dots, and that will do it for the outside of this card. And then we will just take some of the ephemera pieces and put those on the inside of the card, and that will do it. So that was a pretty quick and easy project. I think I probably spent more time picking out what ephemera pieces that I wanted than I did on the whole project. So, but that's how it goes sometimes. A lot of choices, then it's information overload. Anyway, so that finishes off card 1. Oh, here's where I went in and did the Jelly Roll white highlights on all those little leaves. And then that'll, oh, and the highlight on the jar too. So, okay, on to card 2. We're going to do a little bit of watercoloring, and we're going to take this giant grape cluster. It is from a small stamp set from Technique Tuesday, and it is called Luscious Grapes. So I decided I wanted to do a little bit of watercoloring. I stamped it in VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I did some clear embossing powder over the top, and just going to melt it with my heat tool till everything is smooth and shiny. And then I'll give it a second to cool down, and then I'll just wipe off the excess powder with my hand. Okay, so I'm going to use my Arteza watercolor pencils today. And I got out a couple of shades of purple and a red. And then I got out a couple of shades of green. 4 shades of green. Because I decided the stem needed to be a different color than the leaves. So for the grapes, I just go over all of them with the lightest color. And then I'm going to go back in with the 2 other colors to go in the shadows and give it some dimension and different colors. And then I will use my water brush to water it out. Brush it out with water. And when you have several different colors in there like this, you start with your brush in the lightest color and then kind of pull it into the darker ones, or else if you start in the darker area, then your whole little grape cluster would be all just dark. So you want those to maintain those highlighted areas. So you start in the lightest color and then take the water into the darkest areas and water everything out. And it'll look like a little watercolor painting. This did take some time, just because there was a bunch of little clusters, to go in each one of them and put in, 3 different colors. Oh, and in between, if I get too much color on my brush, I dab it off onto a paper towel. That way I'm not contaminating my lightest color with any darker color that may still be on my bristles to my water brush. But the time wasn't too horrible. With the unboxing portion of the video and both cards, I think I had a total of about an hour and 20 minutes of recording time. And so I usually don't try to speed it up any more than 4 times, unless it's just something very monotonous and boring. And then I'll speed it way up, like ink blending. Ink blending is so boring. I'll usually speed that up to like 8 or 10 times normal speed. But so about 4 times the speed. So I got it down to 22 minutes plus on this video. So it does take a little bit of time to do the watercoloring, but I really like how it turned out. And once you go through and water it out, if you want to add some more color in there, you want to make sure you wait until your paper is dry and before you go back in, or else you will run the risk of messing up your paper and having some peeling problems and things like that, even with watercolor paper. So I just let it dry for just a couple of minutes. It doesn't take real long because you're not putting just a whole lot of water down. And then where I think I need a little bit more contrast, I'll go in with some a little bit darker colors and reapply and then water it out again. So we're almost done with our little grape cluster. So here you see me drying it. And I went back in with the darker colors after I dried it. That little heat tool is just a little Ranger heat tool, and it just doesn't have as much heat and forced air as the your embossing tool does. So it doesn't warp your paper you know, like your embossing tool for if you want to dry something like this while you're working on your project. So anyway, I think that after the second coat, I was, you know, kind of happy with the depth and dimension that I got and the contrast. I think it was pretty good. I probably could have went back in with some more darker colors here and there, but all in all, I was pretty pleased with the way it turned out. And then the next thing is I'm going to use another Pink Fresh Studio Essential Ornate Oval frame this time, and because I wanted to put the grape cluster in this pretty little oval. But it didn't quite fit the whole grape cluster. So what I did was I cut out just on a piece of, you know, thin paper and put it over my grape cluster, and then I just lined the die so I knew exactly where it was going to cut, and so I knew I would have it, you know, exactly where I wanted it. You'll see this here in a second. And then you can slide your die into place over that cutout that you made, and then just tape it down and run it through your die cutter. That way you'll know exactly where it's going to cut, because I wanted to make sure that I got all the grapes, and I just cut off a couple of tips of leaves. Oh, I did decide to go around everything with a light gray. I thought that might just help the grapes pop forward if I went around them with light gray just a little bit. And I think it did help them pop forward a little bit off the white. So okay, here's where I'm lining it up, and I tried doing it without taping it into place, and you really have to tape that one little piece into place, and then you just move it around, and you can feel when it pops into place, and then you just tape it down and run it through your die cutter, and it will work even with that other piece in there. It'll work just fine. And I didn't need a shim or anything like that. All those little pieces just popped out real easy. And I did go ahead and cut out a few more of these frames. This is my dog's chewing on something. Stop, Ethel, stop. My goodness, she makes so much noise. Anyway, so I just wanted it to be a thick frame, so I cut out several pieces of it in white, and then I cut out one in that same green that I used for that layering piece in the first card, and put that on top. Oh, I guess I cut out a couple of green frames. Anyway, so you get a nice thick frame to put on the front of your card. And out of our Echo Park pack, I just picked out this wood grain look, and then positioned the frame right in the center of the card. I'll glue that down, and then I'll just glue down the grape cluster in the middle, and then I will stamp one of the sentiments from that set, Aged to Perfection, on just a piece of Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock, and I will cut it out with the Simon Says Stamp Nested Banners dies. And I think I just stamped that with the VersaFine Onyx Black, since I had that on my desktop. Yep, just using a scrap of that Neenah. You know, I'm sorry if I'm dragging today. You know, it is a little bit hard to give instruction for the over 20 minutes on a video. It's a little harder than you would think. But we had such strong south winds over the weekend that blew, I don't know what kind of allergy crap up from the south, from the down in the valley. But my sinuses are just like all over the place, and I feel like I have that groggy, disconnected head feeling, you know, that the commercials say. And so my thought processes are just not as quick as they normally are. So I'm sorry if the voiceover on this one is a little less than be desired. But
we're almost done. Yay! So we'll get that glued down. I just used a little piece of foam tape and then just my liquid glue to put it on the banner, not frame, the oval frame. And I added white highlights again with my white Jelly Roll pen. I used the number 10 so I could get a nice thick highlight for all my little grapies. Okay, so and then I went over the frame because I got to add some shine in there. So went over the frame with my Spectrum Noir clear sparkle overlay pen, and that'll do the outside of the card. And so for the inside of the card, I had those green ovals from when I cut out the oval frame, so the inside part that cuts out. So I pulled out another one of my wine stamp sets. This one is Time for Wine by Simon Says Stamp, and it had a bottle image in it. So I decided to stamp that in the oval and just pair it up with some more of the pattern paper from Echo Park, and then I used one of the sentiments in that stamp to stamp on the other side of the inside of my card. And then from the Technique Tuesday stamp, there was 2 little individual grapes, and so I just stamped those in some Merlot ink by Simon next to the sentiment, and so then that will finish off the inside of this card. Okay, so at the end of the video, I will have some more pictures of the insides and outsides of these cards. And as always, I thank you for watching and commenting and thumbs upping my videos. It really helps my channel to grow, and I appreciate that. And also, if you are so inclined to purchase any of the products and use my affiliate links below, I am very appreciative of that too. So it helps me to buy crafty things to bring you up-to-date craft projects with up-to-date craft materials. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you soon in the next video.